If you like the sweet science, get ready to talk boxing on the Gloved Fist podcast with top boxing writers Frank LOTIERZO and Jack Hirsch. Frank, a former amateur boxer out of Philadelphia, writes for NY Fights and can be seen on the Boxing Channel. Jack, an amateur boxer who competed in the New York Golden Gloves, was a 6-term president of the Boxing Writers Association. And now, here's Frank LOTIERZO and Jack Hirsch.
And we're back. Welcome to Gloved Fist. My name is Frank LOTIERZO, former writer, try to be full-time critic, as Jack calls me now, the critic, not the observer. Joined by former 6-term president of the Boxing Writers Association of America, Jack Hirsch. Jack, normally we twiddle our thumbs trying to come up with topics because there's not much going on. This week, we have a plethora of things. We have a big fight that happened. We have a big fight that's coming up. We have some other news regarding your favorite topic, Joshua and Fury, about now how that looks like it's not a given. There's some discrepancy in the scoring that you want to touch on from the Romero-Lopez fight, so have at it.
Frank, but first I have a bulletin that I didn't tell you before the show, a personal bulletin. I went out, finally, I had some company come over and we were talking and I made a big move. I went out and bought a smart TV. It's going to be installed tomorrow, meaning I'm going to be able to watch these shows off a television set instead of a laptop or iPad, you know, going forward. The show's on the zone, so on. And they have squads that put it together and handle it.
Jack, we had, I think, where did we get one of our TVs we got was it Best Buy? I'm not sure, but they came out and they hooked up. So wait a second. And this is embarrassing. I have 2 smart TVs. And you mean to tell me I can get this stuff on the TV just by downloading an app?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know how old your TV is, but all smart TVs have
one of them is only about 8 months old.
Well, listen, Frank, you have a lot of friends, right? And I got to assume some of them, aren't like Rocky Balboa. Some of them are more like Gazzo. They'll be smooth. They'll know how.
I hope so, Jack. You know what? I'm going to have to look into that.
Yeah, you got to call a couple of your friends, you know, to come over, see what they could do, whatever. Listen, Frank, treat them to dinner, order in a pizza pie or whatever, and let them kind of hook it up for you. But we have a lot to talk about. And we're also going to start on a new topic that I know I've been guilty of. You've been guilty of it too, but I got to take accountability of it myself. We complain about decisions. We rarely call out judges by name. We're going to start doing it. Whenever we see a lousy decision, we're going to call the judge out. Now, we're also going to keep an open mind that we're not perfect as judges ourselves. If we see a fight one way, but half the people see it another way, I'm not going to call a judge out. But you're always going to have, as Max Kellerman, I saw what he said today, and his podcast Inside the Ring, you're always going to have outliers, no matter what. If you have the most lopsided of decisions, you're always going to have a few people, for example, who are going to think that Tex Cobb won 5 rounds against Larry Holmes. They're going to think it was so much more competitive than we thought. You're always going to have that. But first, let's talk about the big fight. Teofimo Lopez, late bulletin 2. As you know, I spoke to his dad right before the show. Sometime in the next few weeks, the fighter, Teofimo Lopez, is going to come on as a guest on our show. His dad promised me he's going to hook it up. So sometime in the next few weeks, we were hoping to get him tonight, but he's on an airplane and he's had a busy.
That's understandable. I mean, the fight was just a couple days ago, so you can't expect him to be jumping in right away after that.
He's in Vegas. He's headed. Technically, he lives in Vegas and Brooklyn. He kind of alternates between the two. So, but what did you think of the Teofimo Lopez Rally Romero fight?
Jack, I didn't think it was a great night for either guy. Romero, to me, looked like he was fighting in a semi-fog, barely throwing punches. He looked like he didn't want to be there, despite it being a majority decision. Lopez, as you said, won easily. To me, that's not saying much because he wasn't impressive.
I don't want to say easily. Decisively. I don't want to say easily.
Okay, well you can change that, but to me it's almost it's the same thing. The only drama, Jack, was the fifth round when Romero caught him with a desperate shot, and Romero was the puncher in the fight, but he didn't get off. He watched, he waited around. He really didn't press it like he should have. By the sixth round, Lopez was back in control again. I mean, there was a difference in class, the experience, the speed of Lopez, and the fact is, Jack, he's just the more skilled guy. He's a smarter, better boxer. And basically, that was the difference in the fight.
But if you look at the judges' scorecards, I had it 118, 110 for Lopez. But like I told you before the show, Frank, I can understand if you could eke out a couple more rounds for Romero. I can live with that, okay? And if you settled on 116, 112, like
8-4,
right, like one of the judges had it, I can live with that, even though I thought Lopez won by a wider margin than that. I could settle on that bare minimum. But the two scores, Max DeLuca 115, 113. Max DeLuca has not been a consistently good judge over the years, in my view. Then
why does he get jobs?
Glenn Feldman had it 114, 114. Now, Glenn Feldman scored the Usyk Joshua rematch. Everyone knows Usyk won. There's no way Usyk lost. He scored it for Joshua. And his judging assignments didn't miss a beat. And
so can you see why people, Jack, look at this jaded? Look, there's no way on this clay and granite planet that Joshua deserved a nod over Usyk in either fight. And there's no way the fight last night or 2 nights ago between Romero and Lopez was a draw. So it's like, how does that happen? Just like when we don't watch fights together, but when we come back and talk about them, we are usually within a round of each other. Okay, one way or the other. Okay, I have a couple other buddies who hold an opinion I value also, and when I talk to them about watching the fights, they're pretty close to the same score that our mean score basically. So it's like, to me, how can this happen? I know this much, Jack. When I watch a fight on Saturday night live, and if I have nothing to do, I don't do it as much as I used to, but I used to do it, and I go back and watch it on Sunday and knowing the result, it's not a good judgment, but my score doesn't vary that much. You have to watch it live. We've established that, but I just can't see how, when you know what you're watching, how you could have such disparity in fights unless corruption or ineptness.
I don't think it's corruption, and I'm not even hinting at that. I think it's just lousy judging. I'm not questioning the integrity of the judges at all, and I'm not questioning their motives at all. I think that they've just had bad nights, and they've had bad nights on more than one occasion.
You don't think business ever comes into it, Jack?
I don't. Psychologically, I gave it a lot of thought. The fight was in Las Vegas. Technically, Lopez is from Las Vegas. He lives there, even though he's billed out of being from Brooklyn. Okay, Danny had a 116, 112. I can live with that. Rolly Romero lives in Las Vegas. He had the crowd more behind him. He's thought of as being a Las Vegas fighter. Okay? And I'm going to tell you, after 9 rounds, okay, 2 of the judges had Romero ahead. Max DeLuca had him ahead by a point, okay? And Glenn Feldman had him ahead by 3 points after 9 rounds. Meaning, had Romero won the last round, Romero would have gotten a draw, had he won the last round. But whatever. But early in the night, this is what bothered me too. And we're going to call out judges. There was a 10-round fight. People aren't going to be familiar with these names. They're not household names. Carlos Utria, a junior welterweight, unbeaten, got a split decision over Israel Mercado. Mercado was the B side. Utria was the guy being built up as the A
The A
side.
side.
I had Mikado up 97-93. It was a split decision. Steve Weisfeld had it 96-94. I'm going to defer to Steve Weisfeld, who I'm going to say is a better judge than me. But Weisfeld and myself were 1 round apart, fine. Who's to say who was right, who was wrong? But the other 2 judges, Chris Migliori had it 96-94 Utria, and Patricia Marsh-Jarman had it 97-93 Utria. Chris Mannix on the broadcast team on the Zone, and I really like Chris's work. He was outraged. He said the Las Vegas Commission ought to have Patricia Marsh-Jarman in the office Monday morning, first thing, and have her watch a tape of the fight and give an explanation how she could come to a decision like that. But judges aren't held accountable. Not only are they not held accountable, Frank, they'll continue to get these assignments.
To get work.
It's an old boys, and this includes women in the remarks. I mean by this, it's an old boys network mentality. Now, no one is held accountable based on performance if they're judge or referee.
Jack, am I right that the media cannot even approach them, right? The media is not allowed to talk to the judges, right?
The media, there shouldn't. The commissions don't want it done. The commissions don't, yeah. Do
the referees and judges in the NFL, are they accessible to the media?
I don't believe so, because we never hear them talk to the media.
Okay. Look, Jack, what I don't like is, look, Teofimo was the bigger name, but Raleigh is still a good fighter and a marketable fighter. So if you have it a little closer, you look at the record and say, well, he lost to Lopez, but you know what? One judge had it a draw, so it's like he was in the fight, so he's worth our time down the road. To me, it was the same thing with Canelo and Mayweather. I forget who had it a draw, but the fact is they were building Canelo. Mayweather was on his way out, and it looked better than if it was a majority decision instead of a split decision. I'm sorry, instead of unanimous. I just can't help to think, Jack, that comes into it, because then we can say, well, who can Canelo lose to? We lost to Mayweather, but you know what? One judge had it a draw, so it's like, it was a really close fight, and it made Canelo easier to promote down the road. And I just can't help but think that plays a part. Even if it's not on purpose, psychologically, I think it might play a part.
I'm taking a quick look here. Yeah, it was C.J. Ross. I forgot the name, who scored it 114-114. Mayweather Canelo a draw. I mean, but there's got to be.
I mean, Mayweather won 11 rounds.
But there's got to be accountability. That's the point. And listen, Frank, if a judge watches the tape afterwards and sees they were off, and they admit it, they said, wow, from my side of the ring, I saw this. If they have a bad night once in a while, I'm not for getting rid of them, but their performance should be consistently good. And I'm not talking about decisions that we're split down the middle, who we think won a certain fight, or if a judge has it wrong, but isn't way off base.
In other words, the judge, I forget, was it Moretti who had Hagler beating Leonard, and the 2 other judges, Guerrera?
Yeah, I mean, that's
it's like,
fine.
I can't kill the judge. I forget exactly who it was that scored the fight for Hagler.
Yeah, Dave Moretti.
That's what you mean.
I mean, was it Dave Moretti? No, it wasn't. Wait, it was referee. Oh, I forgot. Who had it? One judge had a 115-113. Leonard, another 115-113.
And Jojo Guerrero had it 10-2.
But the problem with Judge Guerrera, he had it 10 rounds to 1 going into round 12. Right. And he was way off base. But listen, at least they got the right winner. And Glenn Feldman, this judge, I talked to him a lot of years ago because I didn't like one of his scorecards in one of the lighter weight divisions. I can't recall who the fighters were. And we were talking on the side, and his card was way too close for that fight, way too close. And he said, look, as long as you get the right winner, nothing to get excited and hype about. And I remembered that, okay, if you're going to turn in a really lousy scorecard, at least if you got the right guy winning the fight when all is said and done, it's easier to move on. It's
Now,
hard
Jack,
to move on when you don't, though.
Jack, if Teddy Atlas was sitting here, he would be screaming up and down. And you know what? That's not my personality, but he's right. Guys' lives depend on this. The judges are pros. They have to get it right. If they blow it once in a blue moon, and like you said, if they have the right winner, but instead of it being, 7-5, they have it 9-3, okay, I can live with that too. But like, lives and livelihoods are on the line. They have to get it right. These guys risk their life every day in the gym on fight night, and to have the fight either taken away or robbed or just whatever, but just getting it wrong, there's no room for that.
But fighters get robbed and we forget about them. And the guy who was the beneficiary of the other fighter getting robbed, he still gets the reward. I pointed that out in a fight report I wrote when Maxi Hughes got robbed against George Kambosos. Everyone just moved on. Kambosos got to fight Lomachenko, continued in the big time, like it didn't even happen, his loss to him. It's another thing where a Ryan Garcia loses the fight to Rally Romero. At least Romero got the decision. And if they want to give Garcia the big opportunity, so be it. I understand. But these decisions, this fighter, Israel Mercado, he's a journeyman. He fights the fight of his life and he scores an upset. It should open up more opportunities for him. But he gets robbed and he's not getting he's not going to get the opportunities he should get. He's going to be brought in, he's going to be given low-level fights. And the guy he beat who got the decision,
is going to go on to get big fights.
He's going to be advanced. He's going to be considered an unbeaten fighter. I mean, I'm just sick of it. But Glenn Feldman, 114, 114.
Thanks, Danny.
Terrible.
The media is not allowed to talk to professional sports officials, referees, unions in the four major sports. I didn't know that. Thank you, Danny. Thank you.
You never see them interviewed, but occasionally there's an exception to the rule. Remember with Joe Joyce, with Armando Galarraga, the perfect game, the missed call at the end, he spoke to the media after the game to say the way he just blew it, and he was distraught. So
Jack, what's the answer? What's the solution? What's the solution?
The solution is people like us, anyone in the media, has to call the judges out by name, not just say bad decision. Like I heard the Inside the Ring done today with Max Kellerman, Mike Coppinger, LaShawn McCoy, Teofimo Lopez joined them, and Tim Bradley. They have a really great show. But they were talking about how close the judges had it. I want to hear the judges' name. I want to pinpoint the judges who are off base. Judges should be evaluated like fighters. If fighters are evaluated poorly, their marketability is hurt. They're not going to get the same opportunities and money. Judges shouldn't be getting the same opportunities. And the decision, at least Max DeLuca had the right winner. 115, 113 was way off base. Like I said, you could live with that. Glenn Feldman, 114, 114. Let me say something about Glenn Feldman. He's a very nice man. He's the president of the Connecticut Boxing Hall of Fame. He's a good guy. He's a true boxing guy through and through. But he sometimes has had issues, in my opinion, of scoring fights. And I don't want to hear the old line, Frank, judging is subjective. It's a matter of opinion. They give us this line. There are a lot of close rounds. There's this and that. Look, I scored a fight from ringside unofficially, of course. And my score is not as important as a media member as an actual judge, because it doesn't directly have a bearing on the fight, but it does have a bearing on perception, people who are reading what I wrote about it. I scored a fight once for Greg Hogan at the Turning Stone Casino, 96-94 for Henry Hughes. Okay. And one of the judges agreed with me. He had it 96, 94 the way I did. But Steve Weisfeld and Melvina Lathan had it 98, 92, and 99, 91 the other way. And I immediately told myself, if those two had it so wide the other way, I know those two. There's no way the two of them screwed up like that. It's on me. I'm the one who missed it. And then afterwards, I go to the post-fight press conference. Someone asked Hagen, do you think you won the fight? Because he lost a split decision. He said, hell no, I got my rear end kicked. He says, I don't know what the judge was looking at who scored it for me.
And you had it for Hagen?
Yeah, so I blew it. I had to be, if I was a judge, I should be held accountable. Oh, absolutely. Because I was fooled by Hagen's reputation against the no-name. And obviously, I wasn't watching the fight that was taking place in the ring. But I have to be held accountable for it. Yeah, absolutely. And I still laugh about it, about that fight. The way
I can think of one fight, and I don't want to say which fight it was, but it was about 15 years ago, excuse me, where I was ringside and I scored it, and I had it completely different than everybody else in the media. And the guy I had winning actually lost. I never went back to look at the fight, but it made me think I may have had an off night because, well, no, Dave Bontempo was with me and we were scoring the fight together, and we both had one guy winning where everybody else, when it was over, had the other guy won who did win. And Dave went on the air and he actually fudged it. And he goes, yeah, he had the winner winning, but like he looked at me and winked. I was like, yeah, we didn't have him winning.
I love this story with the great Harold Letterman, okay? A close buddy of mine. In the past, at club shows, you could sit on the ring apron next to judges because there was so little media. There was a show in Mount Vernon involving Larry Bonds against someone. Bonds won the first 9 rounds clearly. But all fight long, I'm joking with Letterman, riding him, and he had ignored me completely, like I didn't even exist. But I know he's hearing me, and I'm having fun. Right before, at the end of the ninth round ends, I whisper to the guy next to me, and I say, ask me how you have the fight scored. And the guy says to me, how do you have the fight scored, Jack? And I said, I have Bonds up by 1 point. And Letterman's head turned slightly to look at me like I got a reaction, like, are you crazy? But listen, it is subjective. I understand all that. But some of these judges,
Jack, some fights are hard to score. I can accept that. Look, the Leonard Hagler fight is the template for people to argue. I thought that Leonard won it convincingly, but there are guys I know that we both know who we value their opinion that had Hagler winning. It's like, I mean, I guess that fight, it came down to, well, I don't think it did, but some people say, well, what style you like? You like the aggressor? You like the boxer? It's like, but I understand some fights are like that, but not a whole lot of them, I don't think. I don't think scoring a fight is that hard if you're objective and you watch and you pay attention and you don't talk to your buddy or eat your sandwich.
And I'm trying to make sense of the scores, and then we'll talk a little more about the fight itself. Occasionally Romero would land what appeared to be a hard blow. Teofimo would be clearly winning the round. And, and if he lands one good left hook, right before the bell, I mean, it's true what they say. And some of these judges, what happens in the closing seconds, I understand it leaves an impression on everyone what happens in the closing seconds. I get all that. But you have to be following the whole round all along. And unless
that's why Mercani broke it down into 3 1-minute rounds, basically.
Yeah. But listen, Teofimo, so how did you think he looked on balance?
I didn't think it was a good night for him, Jack. I don't know if it was because he knew Romero and was leery of him, but I don't think it was one of his better nights, even though he won.
But he did win. I think we both picked up. I picked him by decision. I believe you did as well.
I had him by decision, too. I think I said 9-3.
Right. And I said he'd win about 8 rounds to 4. So we went, he won with some room to spare, the way we expected it. He had this one crisis moment, this one terrible round when Romero hit him with a big punch, nearly knocked him down and cut him badly at the same time. And Joe
Romero wasn't remarked after the fight, but Teofimo was.
Come to think of it, I gotta invite Teofimo's cut man Joe Chiambo on this show because Frank, he lives in my neighborhood and he pulled up his car and he yelled something out a few weeks before the fight, that he's going to be in Vegas, this and that with Teo. So I said, you'll come on the show after. So I got to remember to have him on, too.
Jack, I saw something. I'm going to touch on it later that is very prevalent and it applies. But what I'm going to say now could offset that. Right now, Teofimo, Garcia, and Haney all hold welterweight belts. Okay. 3 of the 4 belts. I think Lion Pero has the other one. Okay. Now, if we were in a real boxing world and everything was on the up and up as far as these guys fighting, how great would it be to have some type of a tournament or elimination or just have these guys fight where you have Garcia and Haney fighting each other and you have Teofimo fighting Garcia and Haney, and they sort it out before they start jumping weight classes, going up or down, and they unify that title. You have 3 of the 4 guys have big names, and we both can sit here and say on this date next year, August 24th, 2027, not one of them will probably have fought the other.
Yeah, I'd like to see that, but there are some complications. There are a couple of other fighters who are kind of waiting for a chance, but there's Jack Hatterell, who's been around forever and never held a belt. And there's Paddy Donovan, who was on our show. He's fighting September 4th in Ireland. He's supposed to be the mandatory for Liam Paro. So he would, but I'm sure.
So let him get that fight and have the other 2 guys fight.
But
the other 3 guys.
But also sorting a tournament out like that, Paro would be the weak link. Okay,
right.
Who the other champions would want to fight first. It shouldn't be a problem because Garcia and Teo is a natural fight on its personalities. It's like show business to an extent. You have those guys going at it. I think the fight would be a major draw.
Jack, it would be the shot in the arm this sport needs. If you said to me, they're going to throw in Garcia, Haney, and Teo.
But Garcia, let's keep in mind, still's got to take care of business against Conor Benn.
Okay, let's assume, and I'm pretty confident he's going to win that fight. Okay, just say he wins that fight. If you said to me right now, Frank, I'm going to give you got to pick one of these 3 guys between Haney, Teo, and Garcia. Who's the best? I don't know. I could make a case for all 3 of them. I don't know who's the best. And I think that's why it would be such a shot in the arm to this sport that there are 3, they could make 3 fights out of that. And nobody, there's no A side. We don't know who's going to win. It's like it could be either way. It could go either way.
I don't know what, at this point, okay, I don't know what to make out of the Haney-Garcia fight. You could remove the loss from the record. They did fight. That's the bottom line. They did fight. And Garcia, I understand.
But it's unfinished business, Jack.
It is unfinished.
It's unresolved.
It's unresolved, but that's why if you had Haney fight Liam Paro, he'll beat Paro without any difficulties, in my opinion, okay?
And have Teo fight Garcia?
And whoever emerges as the winner, that's a major fight against Haney, okay? A Garcia-Haney rematch is tremendous. Right. Teo is tremendous as well. Did Teo solidify basically cement his status as a Hall of Famer with this win?
I'm not sure he did to me, but probably in the eyes of the guys that vote, he may have. He's got a couple big wins under his belt. He's got 3 titles, 3 different weight classes. That checks a lot of boxes.
And he
I
has some
think a
good
win over
secondary men.
Garcia or Haney would definitely do it. I'm not sure he's there now. I'm not sure. I don't see any one of those three guys today as Hall of Famers yet.
But you got to give Teofimo Lopez tremendous credit for this. He's one of the few fighters. He's taken everybody on. Who's he ducked? I mean, I don't see who
You're right.
ducked. I mean, he took on Shakur Stevenson. No one wanted to fight Shakur. No one stepped up to fight Shakur, and they're still not doing it. He stepped up. He fought him. He didn't have any apprehension of fighting him. You know, and
You got to give him credit there. I wish it would have been a little closer. But look, Shakur might be that guy. It's like I think that there's a chance he might be that guy. And Teofimo fought him. He fought Lomachenko. He fought Josh Taylor. It's like he's got a list now. He's got some guys on his name. And Romero too.
Wait. Danny Fulmer.
He's messing, Jack. He's got to be messing.
Joking around. Yeah. I mean, Danny has a good sense of humor, but I don't know would he be serious. So he's punking me now. Ryan Garcia's maybe an all-time great. I mean, Danny's joking.
He's messing, Jack. I don't even know Danny. I know he's messing.
He got me on that one. He got me. He can't be serious.
Jack,
that would be worse judging than calling the Lopez Romero fight a draw to say Garcia's. No, I don't think Garcia has the potential to be an all-time great, even though he's very talented.
I agree. An all-time great, no, but he may be a Hall of Famer. Look, let's get a little negative before we talk about something fun with the Atama Hrgovic fight. Do you know Matthew Aguilar? Did you see what he tweeted 2 days ago?
I don't know him personally, Matthew.
But you know who he is, right?
Yeah. What did he tweet? I didn't see that.
I'm going to read. It's not long. People who call the shots better take a good long look at this statement. A lot of boxing fans who got hooked in the 70s, 80s, and 90s are simply walking away. The sport has become too expensive, too dysfunctional, and too unpredictable for even the one-time diehards to care anymore. I can't think of anyone who has summed it up better than that statement there as far as what's going on with the sport. That's why I said that the Garcia-Haney Teo thing came to fruition. It would be a great thing. But Jack, he's right. He's right. He nailed it.
Yeah, let me tell you what I didn't mention.
Guys are walking away.
And then let me tell you what hurt the sport too. I know you want to accommodate people on the West Coast, but this fight started around, midnight or so. It started around that time, or close to midnight. And when the fight ends, you want to hear what the fighters say in the ring afterwards. You're not going to shut, your TV.
Right. You want to hear the interview.
You want to hear the interview. I got to sleep, a few minutes before 1 o'clock. And okay, for a late night person, it's no big deal. But someone who's used to keeping, a little earlier hours, I mean, it's hard to stay up for. And you have to stay up too for Gary Antoine Russell's fight. You knew it wasn't going to be the most exciting fight. And the undercard was, a bunch of distance fights. The main event shouldn't start that late. What do you think of this idea, Frank? I don't know would it work. How about starting the main event, interview the guys in the ring, and then have one of the 12 rounders after, meaning you start the main event at 10 o'clock or so, Eastern time.
Jack, that might be a tad early. I could live with 11 o'clock. If you remember back in the day, the main events that usually we saw them around 11 o'clock Eastern time, I could live with that. But I could also live with a later time, Jack, if we were getting good fights. But what Aguilar said, he just nailed it. The guys that got hooked in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, it's just such a different game, and people just don't care. And it's like, how long can it continue to go down this path where it's like, well,
I don't know how
when they start losing meat, Jack, they have a problem.
I don't know how old Matthew Aguilar is, okay? But I was around in the 70s, 80s, 90s. The first fight show I ever attended was 1969. at that time, Frank, there was some true fight fans, not fanboys. I mean, I'm not condemning today's things to fans. That's just the way things are. I would go by myself to the fights. I was into all the fights. Okay, it's not that way now. It's
But
a
why,
different
Jack?
society.
Is it because there's, if you think about today's world, there are just so many other things. Like in the 60s, when you and I were preteens, what was there? I mean, I remember looking forward to the boxing magazines coming out on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the corner news agency. It's like I like the NFL, but it's like today there's just I mean kids, guys play video games today. They don't even do anything. Some of them as far as sports go. It's like, what is the issue? There's so many things to do, more things to do today than there were. And then again, you have to buy a smart TV to see the fights. It's like they make it harder to find. There's less good fights. It's like, how's it going to go? How's it going to be a future?
I'm not going to be as negative, Frank, because I could see a scenario of young people who like boxing, who watch it as it is today, when they get to be middle-aged, older, where after I'm gone, way that decades down the road or whatever, I can see them talking about this being the good old days. Oh, you can get all these fights on the Zone. You could get it on Netflix. You could get it on ESPN Plus. It's not like it is today. I could see future generations.
You're more optimistic than me, Jack, because I know in my circle, there's still those 5 or 6 core guys that just, we talk on the phone. They know who the fights are, who's fighting who. But Jack, outside of that, it's not the same.
The spectrum isn't open. If the spectrum was open for big fight, you go. It would be a true fight crowd. Benny Driscoll, Willie Monroe, Eugene Cyclone Hart, Bobby Boogaloo Watts. Now you got Boots Ennis.
Which incidentally, Jack, today's the anniversary of Briscoe and Hagler.
Briscoe Hagler. I mean,
August 24th, 78 at the Spectrum, 15,000 people there.
But congratulations to Teofimo Lopez. He's a major player again. He maybe didn't look great in your view, but a nice bounce back win.
Yes.
And consider this. He beat the man who beat Ryan Garcia decisively, in Romero's last fight. So if you just look on paper what he did, Teofimo is very much in the mix. And I think we learned this as well. It's okay in this day and age to lose a fight. And you bounce back, you win the next one. Then if you lose one, you win one. You lose one, you win one.
I hope we're going in that direction.
Yeah, you're okay. So the loss to Shakur Stevenson wasn't damaging to Teofimo as it turned out. It didn't take him up another level. But you want to know something? 2 fights later, the Stevenson and Romero fight, his stock is a little higher going 1-1. Than it was before the 2 fights. Well,
Jack, and you know what else he did that was smart? He got back in the ring, and that's the stench of that fight didn't last long. Now we see him again in the winner's side, and I think that was smart to come right back in the ring against a good guy. And again, I don't think he looked great, but he looked good, and he won the fight convincingly.
Danny, we're not defending boxing, just to the contrary. But what I was saying, how I think things are going to be perceived in the future, by certain generations. I don't think things are that bad now because we have access to a lot of fights one way or the other. Okay? I mean, there's a lot of activity taking place one way or the other. That's the way I look at it, at least. And it's starting this weekend again, Moses Atama, Felipe Hergovic. To me, it's not an even fight. Otama's an overwhelming favorite.
He's 5-1, Jack.
I think he should be more than that. But then again, Otama in reality is untested. Is it fair to say this is his biggest test?
Oh, Jack, absolutely. If you look at Hergovic, okay, let's not let's not just totally dismiss him, even though we're both going to pick Atama. The guy,
No.
he's a Euro gold medalist, a Olympic bronze medalist. He's been in with Zheli Zhang, Joyce, and David Adele. And look, he was winning the Dubois fight until he got cut. So it's like he has shown that he's been through the wars and he is battle tested. Atama is not. Atama just may be one of those guys that's just super gifted, and we're going to find that out. But it's like, as much as I like to, as I am a critic and a cynic sometimes, it's like, if Atama wins this fight overwhelmingly, we may have the next potential great heavyweight on the horizon. Because again, Hrgovic has been in there with everybody. He's tough. He's strong. I mean, the problem with him is he doesn't do any one thing great, and he's hittable, and he's not real fast. And when you match him up against a guy like Atama, who can punch and has fast hands and lets them go, it looks like he's probably going to lose. But it's like, after this, who can Atama fight, Jack? I mean, how many good guys are out there today?
Well, I'm going to tell you, Angelo Dundee would always say something. They said, how's boxing going to be when Muhammad Ali's not there anymore? He said, someone always comes along, a major name in the heavyweight division.
I remember him saying that.
It was like, we went Dempsey, Lewis the next decade, Marciano the decade after that, Ali
Robinson.
the decade after that.
Oh, you're going heavyweights.
Yeah,
oh.
Mike Tyson after that. I mean, great names. And then we had, some pretty good names, like George Foreman, et cetera, et cetera. But if Otama should get upset, I don't see the big name anywhere on the horizon, Frank. Of course, Otama can come back, but the shine will come off him completely if he actually loses the fight. I don't want to hear if he loses the fight. Well, an experience factor, he could come back stronger than ever. Maybe he can. But if Otama is truly the next great heavyweight, okay, he's going to get the business done against a fighter the caliber Hrgovic. Absolutely. And I don't want to hear any excuses. And I don't want Otama to struggle to win a close decision. That takes the lust off him too. I want Otama to turn in a dominating performance. Maybe he could go some rounds, even if he goes like 10 rounds or whatever, and then he gets, Hrgovic out of there. Okay, fine, as long as he dominated the fight. But I got to see a top-of-the-line performance from him.
The best thing for Otama, Jack, would be for Hrgovic to give him a test and him to come out and look sensational at the end. But for him to be tested a little bit, that would silence the critics, because remember, we went through that with Tyson. It's like he blows everybody out. Then when Tillis goes the distance with him in 10 rounds, it's like, oh, he's not all that. Then he has 3 first-round knockouts or 3 early knockouts again, and now he's hot again. But the rap on Mike Tyson was, and it kind of still sticks, is that when the going got tough, he kind of shrunk a little bit. We need to see Atama get tested. Jack, if he blows through Hrgovic, who I think is a tough guy, if he hits this guy and he just flattens him and he does it in a couple rounds, I mean, there will be excitement in the division. So I guess us somewhat being fans and want to see the sport thrive, we should root for him to do really well and to look good, because who's left?
I think he will. I think he will. I think he is going to have a sensational ending in about 5 rounds or so, because Hrgovic is going to come forward. It's going to be hittable. And I think when it's over, this fight, Saturday, Hrgovic clearly is going to be the big name in the division. Everyone's going to get excited about. Now, everyone's going to talk about Joshua and Fury, okay? And the winner, that if that fight comes off, it's probably coming off, but it's.
But Jack, you still see it's not signed. I've been saying this for a while. I'm not totally convinced.
And I'm going to tell you, I think a lot of people are getting tired of it. It's not a fight that has to be made. This isn't Spence and Crawford where you tell yourself, well, these guys absolutely have to fight. They're top of the line. there's no reason why they should not fight. If Fury and Joshua doesn't come off, so be it. Are we going to care that much? Now, if it's at Madison Square Garden, I'm going to probably go to the fight if I get press credentials for that fight, because they might really limit it. I don't know who's going to be in charge. In the publication I write for in the UK, for all I know, the editor is going to come in, whatever. And but I'll probably get credentials. I'll probably get excited. I'll go, but it's
Jack. But this fight should not be dragging on like it does. What are these guys waiting for? It's 5 to 10 years past the sell-by date. What are they waiting for? They both had their tune-up.
It's a money grab. What else? What else does it mean to Fury? Do you think it means so much to him to show that he's better than Joshua, to have superiority in the UK?
I think they both want each other's names on their record, Jack. I do think that.
Okay, but the fight would have taken place already if both of them wanted it bad enough, even one of them. Don't you think it would have happened now? There's been a lot of years. But when you look at the two of them, if they don't fight one another, what options are out there? Actually, Fury probably has a few more than Joshua. He has Daniel Dubois, who they have the same promoter. I can understand that. Otama is also promoted by Frank Warren. Fury could maybe have that fight if Otama's ready for Fury right now. I kind of think he is, but I would wait a little bit longer. Okay? And Joshua, what does he have out there?
Jack, he's not even ranked in the top 10. Not that the rankings are everything, but it's like, really? It's like, I think the division will be better when both of these guys are gone. I really do. I wish they'd fight. I wish the fight would end in a draw and they both walk away. It's not going to happen, though.
Well, yeah, listen, if they have a draw controversial fight, they could probably find a way to do it again in the UK
and make more money.
The fight over there, yeah. But whatever with that. You said before the build-up's going to begin. It's I think it's September 12th. Ryan got or September 19th. I forgot which date it is, huh? Ryan Garcia.
I'll look it up if you're talking Garcia and Ben.
Yeah, Garcia and Ben. It's going to have a lot of excitement, but Conor Ben's come along nicely. Look good in the rematch with Chris Eubank. Be Regis Prograis. Solid fighter. I just think Garcia has a little more upside here. So, and he's more of a natural fighter, I think.
I favor Garcia to win that fight, Jack, because I do think he has more tools. And I think the way Conor Ben fights, I think Garcia is the bigger puncher, and I think that he'll be able to catch Ben. That fight is September 12th, Jack.
September 12th. So it's going to do
September 12th.
Most of the fights, Frank, I don't catch live. I catch a replay the next day. I'm not going to stay up for it. But certain fights I do because I want to see it live. Like Lopez and Romero. I wanted to see that live. Garcia Ben, I'm going to want to watch that live as it takes place.
I think so. Same here. And I'm going to want to catch Shatama too.
Yeah, Frank, you're going to be sneaking looks at college football. Hey, listen, Frank.
No, because Brian just told me it's scrub week, Jack. It's scrub. It's like you got Tennessee State playing schools like that. That's not.
Aren't you interested in seeing games like Ole Miss with Trinidad Chambliss?
Do they play this weekend?
No. When they
play, I want to see Trinidad Chambliss because I think I think he's exciting to watch.
Yeah, the guy's going to be great. He's going.
But I don't think they play. I think they play on Labor Day weekend, Jack.
But
something else, Jack, we could have some fun with. Have you seen the stuff Shakur Stevenson's been saying lately?
A number of things.
Robinson and Marciano fought nothing but bums, and any heavyweight today, if they fought Marciano's opposition, they'd all be undefeated.
I'm trying to think in terms of I mean, Shakur, I don't know if it's everything that he actually said it, because a while ago he said he was praising Marvin Hagler, saying, oh, he was really impressive. He's a real
I saw
dog.
that.
And then later on, I see something else attributed to Shakur about Hagler. That
He said he only fought small guys.
Right. And so I don't get it. And if it's true, you call the small guys, I mean, who were real middleweights, Mustafa Hamsho, Vito Antuofermo, Alan
Roldan.
Igor, Juan Carlos Roldan, Antuofermo, and Hamsho are three physical bulls. Three of the, I can make if I make this argument strictly on strength, Frank, nothing more, saying Hamsho, Antuofermo, and Roldan are three of the strongest middleweights in history.
I would agree.
You argue these guys.
They're bold. They were all bold. I hate to pick who was the strongest one of those three guys.
Right, exactly. So come on, and Minter was a heck of a fighter. Yeah, John Mugabe was dangerous. I mean, like anything.
But Shakur would say, well, that he was moving up from junior middleweight. And he, Shakur has no respect for the game. It seems like, if he's saying this stuff, I don't like it.
I think Shakur is a student of the game. He doesn't completely get it. For example, Devin Haney, to his credit, Devin and Bill Haney, to their credit, they were willing to entertain the idea of fighting Shakur not that long ago. But Shakur saying, oh, no, I'm not going up to 147. It's got to be a catch weight of 144. Wait a second. You just beat Lopez for the junior welterweight title, super lightweight, as they would call it today. And that's 140 pounds. You mean you won't go up to 147? And he wants to talk about the old timers. If he was an old timer, the next division would have been 147. You mean to tell me he wouldn't have tried to go up to welterweight? He would have said, oh, no, I'm a lightweight. I'm not going to try, to go up, unless the fight a one-weight class above you is so devastating, then you don't try. I don't hold it against the fighter who spends his whole career in one-weight division, but don't pick and choose catch weights. I never held it against Marvin Hagler that he didn't fight Michael Spinks. He turned the fight down. Hagler was a career middleweight. No one could criticize him for not leaving his division. Okay.
Monzon didn't do it either, Jack.
Monzon didn't do it either. I mean, no one talked to Monzon about moving up and fighting Bob Foster, at light heavyweight. Middleweight was his division. And I remember when Emil Griffith was, a middleweight, after he lost the title, they were talking about maybe him moving up, fighting some light heavyweights, and maybe he moving up and challenging Bob Foster for the world light heavyweight title. And he said, nah, if Dick Tiger were the champ, we might do it, but not for a guy like Bob Foster.
And Griffith, he went 40, he was 47, went up to 60, then came down to middleweight, to junior middleweight. And he then went back down to welterweight and back up. Yeah. But Griffith would fight anybody.
Well, Griffith moved from middleweight to challenge Jose Napoles, one of the all-time great welterweight champs. And he got down in weight. This is crazy, Frank. He moves from middleweight, loses the pounds. The weight limit's 147, as you know, for welterweight. He weighs like 144, right? That's insane. He had 3 pounds to spare.
And he looked like he was drained in that fight too.
Yeah. It's funny too, that when Terence Crawford was being promoted by Top Rank, could you imagine these fighters and managers could live forever? And Gil Clancy and Bob Arum were the best of buddies, extremely close, okay? And could you imagine Gil Clancy gets on the phone to Bob Arum, he goes, Bob, even though we held the 5 titles, how about you can make us and Crawford, we'll go 50-50, no ifs or buts. And Arum would get on the phone to Crawford. Do you think Crawford would say, I want a 60-40 split in the fight?
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, I love Crawford. He's a good guy. Terrence Crawford is a good guy as far as I'm concerned.
And it looks like he's not coming out. He's not coming out of retirement. He's addressed that he was just helping Martinez get ready. He said that's all. And Bo Mack came out and said the same thing. We're done fighting.
Lester Martinez fights this weekend too. And you know who we're going to start talking about next month? Canelo a lot with Christian Mabili. I don't want to write Canelo off at this stage. You know, he's lost one fight to Crawford close to a year ago. It was competitive. Canelo wasn't a shot fight in that fight. He fought a great fighter. It was competitive, won a few rounds and losing the fight. But it's Mabili to Canelo what Frankie Randall was to Chavez.
Jack, I don't think that's a reach. I think after the Crawford fight and the fact that Canelo is getting up there a little bit, I could see an upset in that fight. I could see a decision going against Canelo. Absolutely.
Does it have any bearing how Lester Martinez looks this week? Him and Mabili fought to a draw on the undercard of, Crawford Canelo. And they went at it, head to head.
I remember watching that fight.
It was an outstanding fight. If Martinez looks great this weekend, does it elevate Mabili to say, he's really good? Or just the opposite, if Martinez should lose to get upset, do we take that into consideration? That, hey, maybe Mabili's not that good because Martinez wasn't that good.
I don't know, Jack. I mean, I remember watching that fight, and I remember thinking both guys were pretty good, so I'd have to see how they look to say that. But I remember thinking that was a really good fight between two good pros.
And that's talking 2027, and I have a feeling it is going to become a reality. Bam Bam Rodriguez going to Japan to fight Naoya Inoue. Yeah, I mean, now that's a super fight. That is a super fight. And you'd have to give Inoue credit if he took that fight. We mentioned earlier, Lopez fights everyone. Inoue took on Nakatani. He
does the same thing. Yep.
Inoue, that means Inoue will fight anyone at that point.
I really like Bam as a fighter, Jack, but I don't see him making out with Inoue. I don't. And I think he's really good from top to bottom, and he does everything the way it's supposed to be done. I just think it's a horsepower game. And I just think that I know that Inoue has moved up, but I just think he's just grown into that weight and he's just a bigger guy now. And I don't think Bam has enough of a gun to really change anything in that fight.
But if Bam takes the fight and he clearly wins, guess what?
It's a huge win. Absolutely.
Number one pound for pound in the world.
He's already in the top 6 or 7, right?
No, he's like in the top 5.
Top 5?
Yeah, I think with a lot of people. It depends who's pound for pound. But you win that fight. I mean, it's a lot of people rate Inoue as the top fighter pound for pound in the world. And Bam is one of the top pound for pound fighters. But you take the big fight when you can get it. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, and I also have to think of Teofimo Lopez saying they're no friends in boxing. Timmy Bradley agrees. And Shakur Stevenson and Keyshawn Davis won't fight. That's their business. I don't like to push the issue, but we've had a lot of cases where guys were good friends would fight.
Frazier and Norton.
In a while they don't. Well, they didn't fight, But no. Norton was always willing to take that fight. It was Joe. And Norton, out of respect to Frazier, didn't push the issue. They'd ask Norton, and he would hem and haw, go, well, business is business. I mean, Joe's my buddy. It wouldn't be personal.
I don't think Joe ever looked at that fight I don't think there was a time when he had anything to gain by fighting Norton.
There was
that window was like 71 to 73, Jack. And by that Frazier was going back.
In March of 75, after Norton beat Quarry before they signed for the Thriller Manila, there was some talk about it, and Norton's manager said, oh, sure, he'll fight Joe. But Norton was coy because out of respect to his buddy Frazier. But Frazier,
he wanted the third fight with Ali, so he's not looking at Norton.
Right. Okay, so that's basically it. We'll have a lot more to talk about. Hopefully we have Teofimo Lopez on next week. If not, the week after. He's committed some point in the next few weeks. The sooner the better. And then
that'll be fun, Jack. Good job.
Okay, Frank. Okay, see you next week.
Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.